Hi ladies, Jackie Sabrin here. I'm switching to my phone and maybe I'll have better luck because I'm trying to make a video for you on my computer and it keeps dropping the call. And so, I just want to say thank you for being here and your patience. And wow, that light's really bright. I wanted to make this video about when a guy comes on really strong and he's really into you, and then when he goes cold and it causes a lot of confusion. And I just want to say hi to the ladies first. Hi, Susie. Hi, Reese. How are you? Hi, Claudia. Thanks for being here. And so I know that those of you watching, you may have experienced this, and it certainly is a game that gets played when you're dating and in relationships, really, and it's pretty dysfunctional. So let's just go over what it is. And so 1 minute, things are going along, you've got this banter, you're going back and forth, and you feel like, something's happening, and you start really enjoying the attention that you're receiving from a man, and then next thing you know, he pulls back and he withdraws into his cave, and you're left wondering, what did I do? You start to question yourself and think that you did something wrong. And you start to really go into thinking about what you said and what you did. And basically what happens is that this behavior, it's really extreme when a man withdraws like that. And it's really about a power play. And so whether you call it like push and pull, hot or cold, or it's all the same. And what it does is it leaves you feeling really frustrated and confused. And so the key is to understand what's happening so that if you feel yourself caught into this cycle, because it's a pattern and a cycle all about control and fear, then you can quickly recognize it for what it is, and there's a couple of things you can do. You can use the skills and tools that I teach in my program to become more intimate about what's happening and invite a conversation, or that person that's doing this, the man that's doing this, isn't capable or interested in having this conversation because he's using this behavior as a way to control you. And so whether it's done consciously or unconsciously, oh look, yeah, I can see, this is interesting. They have this new feature where I can see your little faces pop up. Hi, Wendy. And so what I was saying was, whether this is done consciously or unconsciously, what happens is it creates a longing, right? And it creates a pursuit. So as soon as he pulls away, it activates this feeling like I have to have him. And so of course what you want to do is reach out and pursue. And that's usually what you do. You go, oh, I'm just going to send him a quick little text and see, what he's up to. And you might make up some excuses like, oh, he's just really busy at work. These rational lies that we tell ourselves to try to justify this emotional unavailability. And so you might say that, he's sorting out his last relationship, or he's really busy at work, he's got a big project, or his kids really need him right now. But those are all just rational lies that your mind tells you in order to prevent you from seeing what's really going on, because your mind's trying to protect you from any painful experiences. But what happens is your mind actually is protecting you, but it's keeping out some valuable information. So I know this call, you're going to remember this call, and it's going to help you in the future. And there's that saying, flee and they follow, follow and they flee. So this is what happens. It's this push and pull that happens. So what happens is when you start to get close to somebody, and things are going well, and there's some mutual affection and some attention, you really enjoy that. It feels really good, and you want more of that. And it starts to make you long for some kind of relationship stability. So you really do want that. And so you start to move in that direction. And so what happens is when a man pulls away, it creates an automatic response in you to chase him, because you want to get back into this feeling. You want to be the object of his affection and his attention that felt good. And so it's this phase is kind of, look at it like, a corral. It's the hot phase, and it's designed to get you in the gate that leads to the corral. Well, later you'll be harnessed. I read that on the internet earlier. Isn't that cute? And so, yeah, it's created to get you hooked. kind of get the hook in your mouth and reel you in. And so that's the hot phase. And the cold phase is designed to make you, long for more attention so that you'll pursue. And so both of the phases are really dysfunctional. And what happens is when you get into this phase with a man, you may not realize it, but what you've done by pursuing a man is you've submitted to a man's need, emotional and psychological need to control you. And so I know that's really intense. I'm going to repeat that. When you get into this pattern with a man, you're like submitting to the psychological need a man has to control. And a lot of that comes from needing to control to feel safe. So I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. It's just definitely something you need to be aware of so that you can cope with it, right? You can cope with it. And so it's basically a dance, and it has a cycle. It's like this push and pull. He'll pull away, you'll pursue him, then he'll back up, and then so you'll back up, and then he'll come towards you, and it just goes on and on and on until you become aware of the pattern. And so there is a difference between when a relationship has a little hiccup, when you're first seeing each other and you like each other and you're starting to feel really vulnerable. Those are normal, healthy feelings. And so it's natural to feel, for a man to maybe withdraw and maybe consider his position, consider his feelings. And so when that happens and you have a certain level of intimacy, then you want to invite a conversation and ask that man to talk to you about the pulling away. You want to create more intimacy in that moment and not more distance, because if there's distance, then it really is just a game. But when you're in a relationship, and a man's emotionally invested in you, then he's going to want to have that conversation with you, even though it's awkward conversation. And so what happens is you'll go from a phase of comfort, and then you'll get closer, and then you go through a phase of discomfort, right? Because your zone's growing, you're out of your comfort zone. So you'll go from comfort to discomfort, back to comfort again, only your zone has grown. And that's called a paradigm shift. And so just recognizing that. But now if you go from comfort to discomfort and you don't go back to that zone again, then that means that the relationship is not going to develop. Because the man that's playing that hot and cold game has bursts of hot, but it doesn't result in any forward momentum. That's the problem. It's a game. It's hot and cold, and that's exciting for them because they have this control over you. But the root cause of this behavior is that it's kind of a desperate attempt to gain control over the uncontrollable. And you know what that is, ladies? Hi, Wendy, it's love. It's trying to gain control over the uncontrollable, which is love. But a man that's really, really wanting to play it safe is never going to allow himself to experience love. He's going to dip his toe into that pool and then he's going to toy around with it, but he's never really going to commit to it because he's too afraid of getting hurt. So he has trust issues. He has fear of intimacy. And you can't continue to pursue him because you're just push him further away. And what happens is it makes us feel like a man has all the power, right? But real power is in the intimacy. Real power is in intimacy and your ability to maintain contact in an intimate way. That's where the real power comes. And so if you have that kind of inner strength and confidence, you don't have any fear of being open and honest with him when he pulls away, because you know and recognize that this is an opportunity to get closer. And if he doesn't take that opportunity, that's a sure sign that he's really playing the game and he's exerting that control so that he can not get hurt, not get his feet wet, not jump into the pool with you and go swimming into the deep end. He's going to play it safe. And that's really dysfunctional, especially if you're looking for a relationship and a life partner, right? So just having awareness about this game is really going to help you, because when it happens to you, you're going to recognize it for what it is. And that's how you turn the table in your favor, is just by recognizing it. So I just talked to one of my clients today, and she reached out to me, and I wanted to give her some support. And she's working in my program, and she said that she's dating a man, and they got close, and she talked to him about what she was looking for and what she wants long term. She wants to get married and have children. And he said that he didn't think he would be ready for that. And she said, well, that's what I want. And so, now that you can, reach out to me or not, but I'm not going to pursue you. And he said, okay, fair enough. And then a couple days went by. And he called her, right? He calls her and she's at dinner. So she answers the phone and she has a quick chat with him. He just called to say hi. So then that's when she called me and she's like, what should I do? I'm like, well, she goes, I think I'm going to send him a text tomorrow morning. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what's going on. He's doing this hot and cold behavior. So he waits 3 days. He calls her, and then it initiates that yearning, that longing to be the center of his attention again, where she's giving up her own ability to nurture and take care of her emotional needs. She's looking for that another person, some external source for that. So she gets back into the game. The system kicks in again, and there goes the pattern, right? So she's going to send him a text and now they're back in this dance. So another 2 weeks will go by. And see, that's what happens is you lose time. And that's why you want to be aware of this and make sure that you don't get stuck in it. And if you are, just know that this awareness of listening to this call, if it's resonating with you, this is your first step in changing and shifting that pattern and stepping into something more functional for yourself. And so once you recognize the pattern, you gain freedom from it. So if you are in this pattern, just know that all you have to do is just stop contacting him and wait long enough for him to come back around if he's going to, and then you'll have your answer. And then when he does, or you can just simply set an appointment to talk to him. That's what I think is the most functional. Say, hey, do you have a few minutes tomorrow night? I'd really love to sit down and talk to you a little bit about what's going on. And if he makes that appointment and sits down with you, then you have something. You have someone that's not afraid to be intimate and real, because that's what it's all about. This person doesn't want to be real. He just wants to play a game. And so it's really important that you ask these questions. And that's why it's important. And I encourage all of you to ask questions. Ask as many questions as you can, because before you get emotionally invested, it's so much easier from that place to be curious about somebody and why they do what they do. And so I'm going to be offering tons of support, answering these kinds of questions and creating a lot of training about all these different scenarios in my program that's coming up, starting right after Labor Day. My Engaged at Any Age year-long program that I am sending out emails and creating trainings so that I can create this invitation so that we can work together. And I'm very passionate about helping all of you become more intimate in your relationship so that you can have that deep, juicy, soulful relationship that all of you are reaching out to me and telling me you want. Well, guess what? It's going to require a little work. You're going to have to shift out of your comfort zone and step out of that fearful place that you're at and take some emotional risk. The bigger the risk, the bigger the gain. And so if you're in this tug of war with a man, the best thing you can do is walk away. Cut your losses. Your time's better spent with someone who's more functional, right? And so if you ask for that conversation and you get a reaction of anger or defensiveness, or they're giving you a guilt trip saying, oh, I'm working a lot, or any of this is really revealing a lot to you. So you want to ask those questions and take note of their response. So if he doesn't respond to you or shuts down, there's information in that you need to look at. So make sure you go ahead and ask the question. Have the courage to ask the question. And if you don't get a response, then that's your answer, that person doesn't have the skill set to have the type of relationship that you want, because you just used a lot of emotional courage to ask these questions in the first place. You're making yourself vulnerable to him so that you can go deeper. And if he doesn't respond to that, then that lets you know, something that you need to know about that man. And so anybody that's really straightforward and honest is somebody that you want to be in a relationship with. And anybody that is playing games and in lieu of ability to be real is not somebody that you want to be in a relationship with. And so I have some questions here in this little feed that I'm going to read and answer them, but I wanted to just take a moment to read these. You stopped calling. I was reaching out, still being open. I offered to talk, but he's avoided it repeatedly. I want a man who wants me and is clear that he wants me. Yeah. So what do you do? Let me see if I can see more on this one. He's the one who brought up all the way. He's the one who brought all the commitment talks up day one. That's why I opened up in the beginning. Well, there's nothing you can do. And there's nothing you should do because he's made it clear that he's not interested in going deeper. So he's in fear. Okay. So he got triggered and he's afraid. And so that's what you know for sure. Now, what is he going to do with that fear? He's either going to just remain out of contact with you, or he's going to step forward. And so you really need to know that information about him, Reese, because that's telling you a lot about how he's going to be in a relationship with you. So as painful as it is when someone does this, it lets you know the level of intimacy that they're capable of at the moment. So I would say you got really close with him, but your timing's off. So just don't get discouraged. Just look at this as like, wow, I attracted somebody and we got close and I got, I'm one step closer because I made myself vulnerable and I know how to do that. And I want you to continue to practice that level of vulnerability because when you do that, there's strength in it. There really is because you're being honest and you're speaking your truth of what you really want, and the universe will rise up and meet you with the match to that vibration. That's why you don't want to pull back and shut your heart down. So yeah, you have to let this one go so the next one can come in. And so that's what I want you to do. Hi, Cindy. Hi, honey. What else do we have? I'm just looking at my little list here of names. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Yay. Any more questions? And so I have a couple questions that were sent to me. I'm going to pull them up on my computer screen. I'm using my phone to make this call. Okay, here's the question that I want to answer. So a gal wants to know, she has photos of extended travel experiences, India, Iceland, Italy, walking through Portugal, a month-long stay in the Netherlands. Is that too much? And I would say yes, that's too much to put on your profile because you could trigger the scammers. It sounds... it just would trigger a scammer. So I wouldn't put all of that. 1 or 2 pictures of travel. And, you want to create enough intrigue for them to reach out to you, but not give them the whole story. So if you're oversharing in your profile, it could actually intimidate man or invite those scammers to pursue you. And you don't want that. So that's kind of like an overshare. And so that kind of information is what you want to leave for your dates, right? So don't overshare on your profiles because you'll invite some drama and you don't want that. So the other question that she had is, someone writes on your photos and they comment on them and she responds back with a pleasant manner and then that's it. Well, here's the problem with that. When somebody makes a comment on your pictures, on your profile, that's an awesome opportunity for you to ask a question back. So make sure that you, if they say, oh, I had this woman I talked to today and she said that there was a man with, Cocker Spaniels in the picture, dogs, right? His dogs. And I said, so she commented on his dogs. And I said, well, what did you say? And she said that, I love that breed. That's one of my favorite breed of dogs. And I'm like, that's it. So she didn't ask a question that begs for an answer. And so I'm like, that was an opportunity, missed opportunity. So make sure you're asking questions. And so if he makes a comment on your profile, like nice dress or, great legs or whatever he says, then you can say, oh yeah, that dress actually brings back a lot of great memories. I was up in San Francisco when I bought it and have you been to the city lately? And, something like that. So you lead it into a conversation so that he has to respond to you and answer your question. And so use those comments on your pictures to create more banter that will hopefully lead to a date. So it's always questions, questions, questions. Ask a lot of questions, and that's how you'll get answers and connection, right? So the next question is it okay to reach out to a man on a dating site? Absolutely. Are you kidding? That's what it's all about. So you've got to get good at this banter. And when you're reaching out to a man on a dating site, it's not a date. It's like flirting with a man at a networking event. You're just saying, hi, how are you? How's, what's your business? How, what's the best thing that happened to you this week? You just strike up conversations with strangers, basically. So you're not getting courted until they ask you out, but you can tee it up. You can let them know that you're interested by engaging them on instant messaging and by sending emails. So you send an email and it's just really a little note. It's a question and a comment. So you look at their profile and you comment about something that they, maybe leaning up against a cool car. It seems like men love to put pictures of them leaning up against cool cars. So you can say, just say something about the car, and then ask him a question. Ask him a question like, that looks like, just ask him like, how fast does that car go? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but you get the gist, right? Ask questions and be playful about it. These questions need to be lighthearted and fun and almost like teasing a little bit, a little mischievous. A little good banter goes a long way because it's already awkward enough. You are flirting with a perfect stranger. And, but what you'll do is, intrigue them enough to reach out and continue the conversation. And so, and you know what? I recommend doing this on instant message. And I created a video last week for you, but it's a good way to practice if you're feeling really sensitive and shy and nervous about doing that. A good place to practice is instant messaging on your dating sites. And so what you do is you'll just practice sending little notes to men that are online at the same time you are. And with the intention of going back and forth a little bit and then saying, hey, I've got to run. Nice talking to you. Get off the call, get off the instant messenger, and then leave it up to them to contact you. They looked at your profile. They know how to get a hold of you. And I would do this several times, 3 or 4 times when you're online. But the key is to only do it with men that are online at the same time that you're online, because you don't want to send emails to people that aren't online. I mean, I recommend you do that as well. But this is a strategy to help you get out of your comfort zone, to create engagement, and to have fun with it. And then you're not looking for them to ask you out. You're saying, hey, I've got to run. Great connecting. And give them a little wink. And then that's it. And then it's up to them to pursue you. But you've set it up. So I really recommend this because it'll help you to kind of desensitize yourself about this whole dating process, because I know it triggers a lot of fear and a lot of fear of rejection. That's what it triggers. And you know what I say? Bring it on. Let those triggers come up, because there's power in those triggers. There's information in those triggers. Your emotional triggers tell you something about you that you need to look at. You want to ask yourself this question. What do my emotional triggers tell me about me? Because if you're triggered, then it's something that's going on inside of you. And so it usually is a fear of rejection. So don't reject yourself in the process. When you feel that, you want to look and ask yourself, what is going on with me? What is my emotional trigger trying to tell me about me? And then ask yourself, what am I feeling? Then go follow it to its source. Get to the bottom of it. Get to the root cause of what makes you feel that way, because it can be very disempowering. But if you don't take action to feel better, then it's on you. That is your responsibility. Your emotional health and wellness is your responsibility. It's not a man's job to make you feel better. It's yours. I have the saying that Michael and I have. It's, I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me. And I think that's a highly functional way to look at dating. Your emotional needs are just that. They're your emotional needs. So when you feel those needs come up, make sure you meet them and don't abandon yourself in the dating process, and then have the audacity to blame men for your emotional, instability. So I actually think the dating process is a fabulous way to really do a lot of deep emotional work, because it brings up a lot of things that you need to clear up anyway. And so you're really becoming a highly functional, emotionally mature woman, and you're getting a man at the same time. And so I say that that's fantastic, and it's going to take as long as it takes. So the sooner you start working through these emotional triggers and understanding the game of hot and cold, the better you're going to be in a relationship, and the more space you can hold for that relationship. And so let me answer this one last question. I'm going to sign off. I let a guy open the door for me this week. I felt really proud because you popped into my mind. Well, your voice always saying, practice receiving. Let men do things for you. Oh, good. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Claudia. That's awesome. And so, yes, receive. I receive. I receive. I receive. That's the mantra. Let a man come to you. You can drop the hanky, do that online flirting, but make sure that you are allowing what you're asking for to come in by not pursuing men, because they will pursue. They love a good chase. Give them one. Give them a run for their money. They love that. And the more you do that, the more fun it is for everybody, and the more potential for a relationship, because men love a challenge and they want to win you. And when you don't stay in receiving mode, they can lose interest. And so I'm glad to hear you doing that, Claudia. Good for you. It feels really good to have a man step into his power. They want to step into their power. And if we don't hold that space, then we disempower them by acting and opening our doors and getting things that they can get for us. So you want to keep that balance in the feminine and masculine energy moving along beautifully by staying in your receiving mode. So I'm going to leave you with the mantra, I receive because you're worth it. And you deserve it, right? You deserve to have everything you want. There's nothing that you should or shouldn't want. You should expect to get what you want. That's what I want you to hear today. Expect to get what you want, but you have to ask for it, right? So I hope this was helpful. Ladies, thank you for being here. Hi, Bobby. Nice to see you. Hi, Cindy Lou. Good to see you. Okay, ladies, have a fantastic evening. And please send me your questions so that I can make more training videos for you. Lots of love. Bye.